Well, we're going to jump into our music department information session. For those who are joining us, thank you. I do want to let everyone know that this webinar session will be recorded and made available for later viewing. So if you aren't able to attend the whole thing or want to be able to reference it later, it will be made available on the New Student Orientation webinar webpage. And with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to the music department today to get into their session. And like I mentioned, the Q&A chat box is open for you to drop any questions into, and they'll cycle through those questions as they have time for it.
Okay.
Susan, take us away.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Smith. I'm the chair of the music department now, and I teach piano and run the piano program, as well as teaching the theory program or wherever I'm needed. I'm going to go around. Aaron, do you want to go next? Can't hear you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aaron, and I am the musicologist in the department, which means I teach music history, Western music mostly, both popular and classical music. And I also teach music appreciation, which is a kind of what is music and notation and things like that. But welcome.
Lance, you're next on the list.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lance Inoue. I'm the director of orchestral activities. So I conduct the orchestra here at Lewis and Clark. And I also teach in the theory sequence and musicianship and conducting and a few other courses.
Brett?
Hello, can you hear me okay? Awesome. My name is Brett Pascal. I'm the director of bands and percussion studies. So I conduct our Wind Symphony percussion ensemble. I teach percussion lessons. I also teach in the music theory sequence, as well as a music appreciation course called Sound and Sense, and the conducting sequence as well.
Great. Kathy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathy Fitzgibbon. I direct the choir program and oversee the vocal activities. And I also, depending on the year, sometimes teach in the conducting sequence as well. And in our freshman writing course known as Words. So it's really great that you're all able to join us today.
Michael?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Johansson. I'm the director of the composition program. I teach private composition also in the theory sequence, and I coordinate the theory sequence. And then I teach some courses such as counterpoint orchestration as well. Good to see you. Good to see you all, even if you're not really visible.
Jeff.
I'm Jeff Leonard. I run our electronic music program, and I'm also the area coordinator for jazz studies, so I can answer questions about jazz.
Okay, and I think is that everybody right now? Okay. So I'd like to just start off by saying to everybody, welcome. I know there's 6 of you. I'm wondering if I can get, how many?
We're up to 8 now.
8. Okay, great. I'm just wondering if we can get sort of an idea of the different things you do. Could you put in the chat box what part of music you're interested in, what you do or what you have done, and what your maybe instrument is? If you're a composer or a songwriter, put that in the chat too. I'd like to start out by just saying we have an incredibly robust instrumental instruction program, from all of the typical instruments that one finds: piano, violin, all the strings, brass, wind instruments, percussion instruments, to some really wonderful non-Western, so world music instruments. The chat is disabled. Oh, here we go. Annabelle is interested in choir and plays the piano and ukulele. That's great. Maybe Kathy, can you talk about choir and voice studies?
I would love to. Great. And I see singer-songwriter also coming up in the chat. I think the chat is hopefully now enabled, but you can also reach us in the Q&A portion of things too. Yeah, we have 3 choirs. There is a chamber choir that is SATB. There's a treble choir. sopranos and altos, and then there's a large community choir that is, you know, symphonic sized kind of thing that has both undergraduates and faculty and staff and community members as well who join in. So I like to say there's a choir for everyone who is interested, and we will get you connected. We have also awesome voice teachers who all have really strong vocal pedagogy. We're all very philosophically aligned, so it's a really wonderful group. You know, choir people are choir people. This is such a, I don't know if this makes sense to the people who aren't already choir people, but you know, we're kind of a zany bunch, and I feel like the choir students find your people at Lewis and Clark, which has been really fun. There's a really beautiful sense of community and fun, and you know, the students like go to dinner together after our Wednesday night rehearsals and things like that. So there's a really lovely energy about the choir. I try to be always challenging all of the choirs with works that are going to stretch their musical abilities, but also expose them to a really wide variety of types of music. We cover music from all sorts of Western classical music, from the Middle Ages to the present, also music of many cultures. Music that's being composed today is a particular interest, and so we partner a lot with composers and do some really innovative new music, including music by student composers, which is really fun as well. So yeah, I'm a little biased, but I love the choir program, and I think there are just some really wonderful, enthusiastic and dedicated students. You don't have to be a music major to be in the choirs. That is true for all of our ensembles. They're welcome to everyone. They're open to everyone, regardless of your major, and I just love that about the program. Everybody is studying all different kinds of things, but passionate about music, and so that is something that would apply, I think, to what a lot of us would say about putting words into my colleagues' mouth about what we love about teaching at LC. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm wondering, I see, go ahead, Lance, like maybe you can talk about the orchestra.
Well, yeah, I guess there's a few questions about different ensembles and groups. So maybe we can just go around and talk about each ensemble.
Yeah.
Like after I can talk about the Wind Symphony. But anyway, I conduct the orchestra, the Lewis and Clark Orchestra. It's made up of majors, non-majors, minors. So it's open to anybody. It's by audition, and open to anyone on campus. We do 2 concerts per semester, and similar to the choir, we try to do different types of rep, whether it's brand new music that was written 2 weeks ago by students or by composers in the area. We also do some pieces that you may have done in youth symphonies or in your high school orchestras. I do a concerto competition every year, and it's open to any student, and it's judged by outside judges from the Portland music community. And those winners are featured on the following concert. So a lot of the repertoire for some of the spring concert is dependent on who wins the concerto competition and what pieces they're doing. And at the end of the year, we usually do a joint concert with the choirs. So it's a great opportunity for all of us to perform all together. In the past, we've done Brahms Requiem. We just did Fauré's Requiem. Done Vaughan Williams' Dona Nobis Pacem. Some opera chorus music. In addition to some contemporary music that was recently written. So it's a really great group. It's also I should say all the ensembles, the large ensembles, are scheduled at times that are not that shouldn't conflict with I guess 98% of all your other classes on campus in any department. They're in the evenings, and so it works out. If you're, for example, if you're a physics major but you've been playing music all your life, you can theoretically join orchestra, do all of the requirements for your major, and still be a really active member of this department.
I'm wondering if, Brett, if you can go next and talk about maybe both wind ensemble and percussion ensemble.
All right, so I conduct our Wind Symphony and Percussion Ensemble, just like the other ensembles we meet in the evening. Wind Symphony is also open to anybody regardless of their major. So we have majors, we have minors, we have non-majors, and we also have community members that like to come in and play with us as well. As the music that we do, we try to be diverse. I specialize in percussion, so I tend to pick pieces that are a little on the newer side of things, although each year we try to program at least a piece that falls within the standard repertoire, whether it be Sousa or Percy Granger. I'm a big fan of Maslanka and some of the newer pieces. As far as the percussion ensemble is also open to anybody. And when it's in regard to the percussion ensemble, the only requirement that I have for that ensemble is that you are able to read music on a moderate level. Say you're a violinist, but you've always wanted to learn how to play the marimba. I can show you how to hit things proper with sticks, and we have a lot of non-percussionists that actually join that ensemble. If you're really wanting to work on getting your rhythm knowledge to an A game, this is a really good ensemble to actually join. Both of the ensembles that I teach are non-competitive, and the Wind Symphony has an interview process, so I can find out what your background is to make sure that you're not joining Wind Symphony to learn how to play, say, the flute, but you already know how to play the flute and to fit in with the ensemble. I do encourage everybody to also take advantage of the private lessons that we have to offer at the school. Our adjunct faculty and are phenomenal. They're still active in their field. Many of them play in the major ensembles in the area, such as the Oregon Symphony, the opera, ballet, the Portland Baroque Orchestra. We have a lot of our jazz faculty that Jeff will talk about later that perform in the different big bands in towns and combos. It's actually pretty amazing. I'm really impressed with the level of performance and knowledge that my colleagues have. So next.
Yes.
So a little bit about our jazz program. We don't have a traditional big band. Instead, we have a small combo program because it allows us to accommodate more students. Typically, we have 3 combos. The combos are by audition, although well, it can be competitive depending on the number of people playing a particular instrument, but typically, horn players, I see there's a trombone players interested in jazz. Typically a trombonist is going to get in. The auditions are more for placement to try and get people sort of aligned with others who have similar levels of previous experience. You do not have to be a music major to be involved in combos. You don't have to have prior experience as an improviser to be in combos. Usually there'll be one of the combos that is comparatively speaking, people that are newer to improvisation, and then sort of moving progressively up from there. We try to turn away, as few as possible. So I think this last semester we had a total of probably about 20 students populating the 3 combos. Again, both majors and non-majors. Something else that's changed in the last few years is we now have a jazz vocal instructor. And so we are steadily integrating jazz vocalists into our jazz combo program. This last concert, we had 3 vocalists, which is a really exciting development, and they all were terrific. As Brett said, all of our jazz faculty are working players in the Portland jazz scene. We're talking trumpet, trombone, saxophone, drums, both electric and acoustic bass, guitar, and piano. All outstanding players and educators. Let's see, what else can I say about that?
I'm looking at the piano, organ, trombone question from Beth. So Joe Bagg is our newest, is he our newest jazz faculty member?
Jazz faculty, our piano instructor.
And he also plays, he's a just amazing organist.
Yeah.
Jazz. What I'd love to do next, I'm wondering, Michael, could you talk about the composition/songwriting program, and then Aaron talk about the courses that you teach and the musicology program? You're in for Kaylee because he can't be here today.
Absolutely. So, and I noticed Carrie K says, my child is a singer/songwriter and plays ukulele. The composition program is kind of the term that we use as a catch-all for anyone who wants to create music. And so we definitely don't believe that composing should be relegated to some elite few that write in a certain style in a certain way, with certain, principles or systems or whatever it is. We're open to all approaches to composition. And one of the things that we're really proud of is the way that we integrate an aspect of music like songwriting with what we call generic composition, which really can be anything. And also with the electronic music program that we have. So a student could come in and actually we've seen this happen quite frequently. They'll work with myself, they'll work with Jeff Leonard with electronic music approaches, and then they'll work with our songwriter, Rebecca Jordan Smith. We actually have a new seminar that we're going to be running starting in the fall, which is open to students studying privately with any of us. So there's that sense of a connection that we really want to foster. And again, this idea that it's all music. I should also mention that orchestration is a related activity, and in terms of the whole principle of composing and so forth. It's part and parcel of what composers do. And so we have a class devoted to orchestration. We have a class devoted to counterpoint as well. And then Jeff, could talk more about this, but we have 2 levels of 4-credit courses in electronic music before you then get to private study in electronic music as well. A few things about performance opportunities. There are many for composers. I think all of the ensemble directors you see here on your screen are not only willing, but very enthusiastic about at least the prospect of rehearsing and or performing student music. I've seen it happen many a time, and that's really exciting. We also have faculty members that perform student music, and of course the students perform student composer music as well. So we have every semester a recital that students put on that feature original student compositions. But then there are also the occasional ensemble concerts, which may feature student music. And then there's kind of one-off special events that we may arrange as well. Students can do junior recitals, senior recitals, and we're always interested in collaborative work as well, whether it be with the art department, English department, that kind of thing. So I will stop there, I suppose, for now and hand it over to Erin.
Erin.
Hi, everybody. So I teach music history, which oftentimes you don't have in high school, or when you go to a liberal arts college. It's one of the parts of the music major and music minor that students walk into thinking, oh, wow, medieval music, I don't know. And what's nice is that I get to open these doors that some music you've never heard of before. And whether it's Gregorian chant or a piece by Barbara Strozzi of the Renaissance, and you go, oh, wow, that's really cool. I never knew it existed. And then we get to situate their music in the course of history, whether it's Beethoven as part of this revolutionary spirit, or even Stravinsky as kind of an expat who leaves Europe and finds his way in the United States. So I get to open this magical world of music. And I think the greatest satisfaction for me as a teacher has been over the years is when a student comes in and says, oh, it's all, it's like old dead white guy stuff. And I don't know how this is going to appeal to me. Classical music is for snobs and things. And by the end, when they see that it's not, I bring in all sorts of people, all walks of life, and, they walk out somehow feeling like cool, their worlds have opened up. So that's my role over the course of, I've been teaching at Lewis and Clark 30 years. So, but it gives me great satisfaction to teach this very broad repertoire of music in the context of history, from medieval all the way to Philip Glass and Meredith Monk. And even I teach Quincy Jones. Yeah. So thanks. Or did you want to talk a little about ethno? My colleague is not here, who's Kaylee Mason, and he teaches ethnomusicology. And most music departments now have an ethnomusicologist. Ethnomusicology started really in anthropology in the 60s. So it was about people going into the field and listening and recording musics from all over the world, and then bringing it home and writing it down and making recordings. And then what happened in the 80s is that moved into music departments, especially in liberal arts colleges. And so now each department has an ethnomusicologist. So you can study music of the folk of India, music of the people from Romania. And we have a really, really broad array of instrumental lessons that you can take. So you can take gamelan, which is Southeast Asian collection of instruments. You can take tabla, all sorts of things at Lewis and Clark. We have a strong tradition of what's called world music and ethnomusicology. So that's also part. So if you come, maybe some of you are already really interested in that. Lewis and Clark is a great place for that as well. So thanks.
Yeah, great. Before I talk about the instrumental instruction program, I wanted to talk about some of the ensembles, just because we have, I forget what the percentage of the college involved in the music department is, but it's something like between 600 and 700 students in the whole college are either in an ensemble, taking private lessons, somehow in our department doing all sorts of really wonderful things. And it's a vibrant, fun place to be. So the big ensembles are orchestra, wind symphony, and then the different choirs. And we call those conducted ensembles. And then we have a group that we call guided ensembles. And those are ensembles where the teacher plays with you if you're in the ensemble. So gamelan is one of those ensembles. Ghanaian music ensemble, Ghanaian drumming and dance is another one that's incredibly popular and a lot of fun. Zimbabwean music ensemble. And then we have, we're going to have a South American ensemble as well. So Latin American ensemble will be starting in the fall. So all of those, you need to have absolutely no expertise in any of it. You can join, they're fun. They're large now. So we've got a lot of people who are participating in those. And then we have ensembles that we call mentored ensembles. And those are where you have close one-on-one interaction in small groups with a teacher. You don't perform with the teacher, but that teacher guides you through the whole semester and is with you and might be performing with you during or demonstrating. Somehow it's not exactly private lessons, but it's a smaller group. And chamber music falls into that category. Jazz combos also fall into that category. Vocal performance workshop, Indian music ensemble, which is wonderful. The percussion ensemble, the guitar ensemble, and accompanying is also. So that's pianists will accompany a good part of the time, and they're in that mentored ensemble category. So we have all of these really great world music ensembles, jazz combos, and then our larger ensembles that you can be in. For the most part, I think none of these. Oh, there's the low brass. Yes, Brett just reminded me that there's the low brass ensemble as well. And that's taught by Jatik Clark, who's the principal tubist of the Oregon Symphony. And he's amazing. He's great. Wynton Marsalis wrote a tuba concerto for him. And yeah, he's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person and teacher. Are the practice rooms available in the music department 24/7 to non-majors? I don't know about 24, but yes, they're open to all non-majors. Yeah, I think they close at either 11 or midnight. I'm forgetting right now.
11.
11.
Yeah.
But yes.
But technically, if you're already in by 11 and you like to practice in the wee hours of the morning, you could stay. But
You won't be locked in, but you just can't get out. You can get out whenever you want. You just can't get in.
Can't go back in. Jeff?
I don't know if this holds true for all classes, but I know many of my electronic music students like to use that facility overnight. And so even if the building is locked, their ID card will swipe them into the building after hours. And
Right,
I was
yeah.
sort of under the impression that if you were enrolled in another music class that involved use of facilities like practice rooms, that held true for you as well. So if you are an obsessive type, and you decide at 11:01 you want to practice, you can probably make that happen.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So, yeah, practice rooms are open to everybody, and you can use that. We have 3 grand piano practice rooms. 2 of those rooms have 2 grand pianos in them. So if you're a pianist and you want to do 2 piano repertoire, you can do that. But students also practice in the larger classrooms and sites lounge in the band room. We've got terrific pianos all over campus. I like to talk about this because I'm a pianist, but we have 3 of the best instruments in Portland pianos. A 9-foot Fazioli, which is on stage in Evans Chapel. Agnes Flanagan Chapel. In Evans Auditorium, we have an Imperial Bösendorfer, so that's the big gigantic piano with the extra keys on the bass end, and then a Steinway 9-foot grand. So these are fantastic instruments. If you're a pianist, you have wonderful facilities, and then also practice rooms are open to everybody. They're a whole, go ahead, Kathy.
You said Agnes Flanagan Chapel, and just reminded me that someone had mentioned organ, and we have a new organ instructor this year, and the chapel has one of the only suspended organs in North America. I think there are 2 in North America or something like that, but it's a really beautiful, unique instrument, and you get to play it if you are taking organ lessons. So that's pretty fun. And then I just kept wanting to add one little thing, if that's okay, which is that world's largest, maybe, I
It
believe,
is the largest hanging organ.
largest hanging organ. Super cool. It's really cool and sounds amazing. And the other thing I just wanted to mention that's kind of a between the lines thing is just that in addition to all these amazing opportunities, I feel like we also just all really love each other. Like, I think that there is a really positive, collaborative, and you're probably kind of getting that from the way we're all talking about things we like to do together and everything. But yeah, Brett's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I see that. Yeah, we laugh a lot. And the students, I feel like, are this beautiful community, and there are wonderful, close mentoring relationships between faculty and students. There are also sort of casual hangout spots in the music building where any time of day or night, I feel like we run into our students just hanging out, and they'll sit and do their homework together and have a cup of tea and ask a question, and it's really quite lovely. So there's just a good kind of family energy, and I think there are other places where it's really competitive, and it's not that it's not rigorous. I think we offer a really high level music education at Lewis and Clark, and yet we do it in a way that really builds everybody up, and I just appreciate that so much. So I wanted to just say that because you're probably getting that vibe, but I just wanted to reinforce that.
Yeah, that's true. I think that I told somebody one time that I remember going to kindergarten and going there, and it was like the most fun place to go. And if I was sick and couldn't go, I was bitterly disappointed. That's how I feel about my colleagues at Lewis. So
Yeah, I just want to add to that it's the department and the vibe of the department. It's 2 things. It's casual and friendly, but it's also really rigorous and serious. So I mean, the music that comes out of these walls are pretty amazing. Really, I'm just so blown away every semester. But it's also casual in the way that we're on a first name basis. You don't call me Dr. Inoue, just call me Lance, and even students, we address each other by first name. I don't think it's that way in every department on campus, but in our department, it's that way. But at the same time, we have high expectations, and it's really rigorous, but in a nurturing way.
I see a question about can one take piano, but maybe also be in an ensemble? And that's absolutely, you can do that. So you can take piano lessons, but also play the cello in the orchestra. I know, Lance, you've had a couple of students who've done that.
Sorry, what? I was
Oh.
reading this thing about Kathy's group, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Um, wait, so sorry, what was the question?
Oh, I was just going to say, you've had students be in the orchestra and they also play another instrument.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's possible to be an orchestra. It's 1 credit. It doesn't add
Mhm.
a great amount to your credit load. So you can do that, as well as take instrumental lessons in a different instrument.
Mhm.
Brett?
And all of our large ensembles, they happen at different times and different days. So you can be in the wind symphony, you can sing in the choir, you can be in the orchestra, and that you can fit that all in your schedule. I'm seeing a lot of people play multiple instruments, and yes, we actually do have a ukulele teacher as well if you want to take private lessons with that.
Right. Private lessons, once you sign up, you'll get 10 lessons over the course of the semester, and the conducting track. Okay, do you want to address that? The conducting track? Kathy or Lance?
Sure, and we're visiting it right now, but we at present have 2 courses available for students who are interested in conducting. One is kind of introducing them to physical gesture and some more rudimentary beat patterns and conducting needs, and the second one is much more deeply into score analysis and sort of applying your physical conducting work in service of analysis and interpretation. And we've had students who want to make conducting sort of their primary focus, and they've continued with private lessons with Lance and Brett and me, and done a conducting recital as their senior project. And we're really happy to support student conductors. And if I can say, my I have former students, conducting students. One is directing the choir program at the University of California, Davis. One is conducting the choir program across the river at Reed College. And one is in graduate school right now at Georgia State, which is a terrific choral program. And so, I think there are students who do want to go deeply into conducting, and we're really happy to serve them in those cases. Yeah.
It's actually, if we've had students go on and get PhDs in musicology, Aaron. One just graduated from Princeton, right, David?
David Salkowski got his PhD at Princeton and has a job even, because I mean, it's one thing to go to graduate school, but he has a job at University of Tennessee, Knoxville, teaching. So that's very exciting. And we've had another one, Mariana Ritchie, who's tenured, and we've had several others before me. So that's exciting as well.
Requirements for auditioning for orchestra, Lance?
Oh, so at the first meeting or the first day of classes, generally have this large meeting just to talk about the pieces we're doing that semester. And I hand out some excerpts from the pieces we're doing. And then within the first 2 weeks, students can sign up for individual times to play those excerpts. And also, they can also bring in anything that they've worked on previously. So if you're a cellist, you can bring some of a Bach cello suite if you want to, or if you've worked on a concerto, you can play a little bit of the concerto, maybe the exposition or something, or just play the excerpt that's given. This past year, the first semester, we did Rimsky-Korsakov Capriccio Español, and so I had, for each instrument there's different excerpts that feature that instrument. So that's how it worked. I gave the clarinets the first movement, and the cellist the second movement, things like that. So that's and I also use those auditions for string placement, seating, string seating placement.
I'm looking at what help do you offer for music recording and production to enable students to publish music. I'm going to ask another question, which is, are you talking about, this is Carrie, are you thinking about electronic music, or are you thinking about music that you write and you have other people play it for you? Would be my question. Okay, so what we do have, Michael, you can probably address this. You can get your pieces played if you're taking composition lessons. There's a composition recital every semester. And if you decide to do a capstone project, which you would do as a senior, you can, there are different ways to be able to fund having some professionals even come and play on your recital, but maybe you can address that, Mike.
Sure, and it can, that recital could be made up of a combination of acoustic music for, let's say, just randomly string quartet, a solo piano, but it could also have music written for completely electronic resources. It could be a combination of electronics and acoustic instruments, and we've actually seen quite a bit of really creative applications of those kinds of combinations recently. We had a student who just did a recital that involved some handmade instruments, handmade electronic instruments that almost seemed as if they had their own brains. It's very, very, very fun recital. But and then, of course, on the recording, if you are talking at all about anything electronic or something that needs to be recorded as opposed to just presented in a live format, there are some opportunities for that in the electronic studio, and Jeff could address that a little bit more. But yes, as far as performance, and also basically developing the skills that allow you to get your music, say, on paper or communicated in some way to instrumentalists and vocalists. We definitely, that's a huge part of our program, teaching those skills and imparting that knowledge. So maybe Jeff wants to fill something in here.
I could just talk a little bit about the electronic music program, which, like everything else, you don't have to be a music major or have any prior experience to be involved in it. And so, I teach an introductory class that often will have, a student that has, not only no electronic music experience, but no music experience, period. And by the end of the semester, they're presenting original music to the public. I also get students in that class and in the more advanced class and taking private lessons with me who, before coming to Lewis and Clark, have already released music professionally, whether online or on CD or whatever. And so it's a really broad range of experience and ability level, which, interestingly enough, I think actually strengthens the program. Students that come in that maybe don't have any prior notion of how to do this often have wonderful insights that more trained students can benefit from. And obviously, the novices can really benefit from the more experienced students. And so, you mentioned wanting to record and produce music. I realize you were talking about something sort of different, but I do have students that release plenty of their own music or work with other students, collaboratively, or produce other people. And people that have gone through my electronic music track have gone on to do, all sorts of jobs in the music industry, everything from recording artists, songwriters, recording engineers, producers, working in music publishing, song placement for, TV, movies, commercials, etc. So it's really a burgeoning field. And I'm really happy that we, along with our songwriting and composition programs, these things are working, I think, at this point, pretty synergistically to provide a really wide range of possible directions for students to do. As Michael's mentioning, we had a student recently who did an electronic music recital that involved a whole bunch of instruments that he had sort of invented and manufactured himself. And so that tied into both his computer science background and also some sound art classes he took through the art department. So it's can be incredibly interdisciplinary and, really capturing the essence of what the liberal arts model is about. I'm really enthused about what my students are doing.
Yeah, I know we've had a lot of people sort of doing crossover projects, electronic music and acoustic music, and those projects have been really, really wonderful. I'd like to talk maybe a little bit about the major. So one question I get a lot is whether or not people can not major in music, but participate in ensembles, take lessons, practice, all of that. Yes, the answer is yes. So we have, although it's a rigorous major, it's comprehensive. It will allow you, if you decide to be a music major, to kind of do what you want to do, to go to graduate school, either as a performance-oriented musician or go to graduate school in musicology as a scholar, as a composer. So what we offer is a very comprehensive program. You can go on the website and see as much as you want about the major program. I'm actually going to put it in the chat for everybody. Here we go. And then also, let's see. I have too many windows open in there. Okay, there we go. Can't figure out how to do this. Anyway, I'll just go briefly over the major. So at this point, the major requires 2 courses at the lower level of music theory. So that's music theory 1 and music theory 2 and 3, but you'll need to take music theory 1 or fundamentals of music theory with Brett if you come in with no or little theory background. And I'll ask Mike and Brett to talk about that in a minute. 2 courses in music history, and Aaron teaches these. Aaron Beck teaches History of Western Music 1 and Western Music 2. Those are requirements for the major. It's a comprehensive study of Western music from early music to contemporary music. 4 semester credits of a single instrument or voice lessons. Most people take more than that. They're taking private lessons on their instrument all the way through. There's 1 required credit for keyboard skills, but if people have no prior keyboard knowledge, they end up taking 2 class piano courses. Then 6 semester credits of ensembles, which are 2 of the large ensembles. 1 credit of the guided ensembles where your professor, your teacher plays with you, and then the mentored ensembles, 1 credit, and then 2 of your choice. 4 semester credits of world music in in workshops in world music, which is a really fabulous course where you get hands-on experience with world instruments and their players and teachers. And then 4 semester credits of upper division music history or ethnomusicology, which are research-based courses, seminars, and have many different topics. Aaron teaches these and Kaylee does as well. Kaylee Mason, our ethnomusicologist. Then one, as a music major, has to do a senior project, a capstone project. And we've had people write amazing scholarly papers. So they would write a thesis. We've had people do composition recitals. We've had brilliant composition recitals or a performance. So if you're, wanting to maybe even craft your own kind of combination, you can do that as well. Any questions about that? So remember that you can major in music, you can minor in music, or you can be in the department either taking lessons or participating in classes or ensembles and not major in music at all. So there's no requirement that you major to partake in the music department. I'm looking, any more questions? Have I missed any questions? Have we missed any questions? Thanks, Kathy. How do you audition for choir, and is it possible to rent instruments? And yes, it is. And Kathy, you can go first.
That's right. We own a bunch of instruments that we can loan you. Lance, you want to hop onto that?
Yeah, just really quickly, if you're registered for a class or a lesson that requires that instrument and you don't have it with you, some people don't travel with their bass or their cello. from home, then we will let you borrow an instrument free of charge for the time that you were registered for that class. And then you can use it. You'll have a locker. You can practice all the time in the middle of the night if you want to.
We have a plethora of violas and a few cellos, right?
And violins.
And violins.
So all string instruments, and then Brett deals with the wind instruments too. So if someone needs a piccolo or only has a flute or things like that, we have things available.
Would you say it's a good idea to let us know early, like before you arrive, that you'll need to rent or not even rent, to borrow an instrument?
I mean, for strings, not really. I mean, because we can get one easily. But if it's like, I don't know, if you only play the bass clarinet, we might need to just make sure we have one available, and or you I don't know, Brett. Is there any
so
we don't have, and that?
Well, the way it normally works, if say you're a trombone player and you need a trombone, and we've got all of our and you're registered for say Wind Symphony, or you're registered for orchestra, or you're in the chamber ensemble playing trombone. If we run out of the instruments, I drive to the music store and I buy a new one. So we that's what we do.
Okay, and then Kathy, do you want to talk about auditions?
Yes. Yeah, so for choir auditions, we do those. They're sort of a placement audition. They take place during the first week of school. And I should also say, we will have on our website, we might already have on our website, that we have the first day of school, we have meet and greets for all of our conducted ensembles. So there's, and we always bribe people with pizza. So come and hear about choir, orchestra, wind symphony, percussion ensemble if you come and have some pizza and learn more. I think Kaylee's also doing one for the world music ensembles. Is that right? That's sort of a for multiple ensembles there. And Mike, do you have another one?
Oh, no, no, I was just confirming that Kelly
Oh,
does.
you're thumbs upping. Yes,
Kaylee
Kaylee is also doing it. Okay, good. Or I guess it won't be Kaylee. Yes, we'll figure that out. So anyway, there will be a world music meet and greet as well. So any questions about choir, often we can answer those there, and we'll have current members of the choir as well. And also sometime in about the next month, I will get up on the website information about signing up for an audition time. That happens during the first week of classes. I meet with every student who wants to sing in the choir and hear them sing. You don't have to prepare anything or bring a solo, but I'll do a vocal warm-up, do a sort of a pitch matching exercise, and ask you about your music reading background. And if you have music reading background, then I will have you sight read a short excerpt that is very painless, I promise, and very friendly. And then based on how that audition goes, then we'll have a conversation about your goals, and place you in one of the three choirs. And I always want to make sure that whatever choir people are in is one that is exciting to them and is at that right level of challenge. The main difference, because all three choirs do lots of really interesting, I think, and exciting repertoire, I think the main difference is in the experience level with reading music notation, and therefore like the pace and type of learning process that we use in the three different choirs differs for that reason. So anyway, so I always want to make sure somebody's in the place that feels right for them, and that may change over time as people are doing more and more music and taking more courses, and so we can always revisit it for future semesters as well. So yes, and please email me if you have any questions in the meantime. But also, as I said, I think, I'm hoping by like mid-July that I'll have the audition signups up and ready on the website. So yeah, so looking forward to working with you.
Any more questions? How many people do we still have on?
8.
Very good. Okay. I can't think of anything else I'd like to say other than, please, if you're planning to take lessons, reach out, go on the website, and you'll see a list of all of our instructors and what instruments they provide instruction for. So reach out to them now if you can. Get in touch with them. You can talk about when you'll meet when you come on campus. As I said before, for the 14 weeks of the semester, there are 10 private lessons that you have when you're studying an instrument. One of those weeks that you study will be a master class or a studio class type of lesson where you get a chance to play for the rest of your group. So there's a chance to perform. If you're taking a lesson, you'll get a chance to perform at least at some point during the semester. So that's a fun thing for a lot of people. Lance and then Michael.
I forgot. I just wanted to add one small thing. We love to create a community in our ensembles, and one of the ways we do that is we go on tour, and it's my goal and dream to take the orchestra on tour next year. We did this about 4 or 5 years ago, right before COVID, and we went to the orchestra along with the choir went to Seattle, and then the orchestra continued on to Vancouver, British Columbia. We did some performances there, and it was just such a nice trip. And you know, we spent a long time planning it, and it really kind of it's a bonding experience, I think, just going on tour and planning all that stuff. So
Didn't you also
that's
go to
something.
Hawaii?
Yeah, and well, Kathy's, you know, done that before we even did this. We did you can talk about
Did
that
a
Hawaii.
Hawaii tour, and we had a string quintet from the orchestra that came on that tour. Yeah, the choir's also been down to, you know, the Bay Area, Southern Oregon. So the bus tours are simpler to navigate certainly, but I'd say our farthest afield is we had the opportunity to go to Egypt with us because one of our students was from Egypt and helped organize this just unbelievable once in a lifetime sort of experience. It was really amazing. So yeah, so we love to do that. Yeah. Mike had something, I
Oh
think.
yeah, Mike. Oh, can't hear you.
Sorry. We
There you
wanted
are.
to say just a few words about the music theory program and entering the sequence. There is an online placement exam that we offer multiple times per year. It's should be very easy to access as long as your computer is functioning and so forth. And we can help you through that process. And it just gives us an idea of where you are in terms of your background and so forth. The beginning of a course in our sequences is taught by Brett Pascal. It's music theory fundamentals, and it's open to anyone. 100%, you know, you don't have to have any background in music. But then we go all the way through the gamut to the most advanced musical skills and concepts you can possibly imagine. It's again, you know, as Lance was saying earlier, this sequence, just like our whole program, is rigorous and yet very welcoming, and you know, and we're not we really want to kind of uplift our students, and it's students can get through it and do get through it with flying colors. But yeah, again, we start with fundamentals and we go through 20th and 21st century concepts. There's a musicianship program that is paired with the concept part of it all the way through. So yeah, and you'll find links to the theory placement test on our website as well.
Right. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes people do test out of, thanks Kathy, out of music theory. Fundamentals, less frequently they test out of theory 1 and get to start with theory 2. But I think we've covered pretty much everything. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say? Oh, Jeff.
I just say this is a lot of information. I'm always I've heard most of this before, and I'm always a little bit overwhelmed by just how much there is to say and how much of it goes like that. So I would just say, most of us, despite things like summer vacations, most of us are relatively responsive. So, please reach out. And if you're not sure who to reach out, just go to our website and reach out to any of us. And if we don't know the answer, we'll point you towards the right person. We're always happy to, email or have a phone call or a Zoom or, whatever it is that we can be, do to be welcoming and have you all feel comfortable with our program.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.